This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Anthony Yannotta joining us again from Synchronicity Health and Wellness. Yeah, from Lebanon, New Jersey, hailing here to talk more about the work he does, about how he's helping people with his wellness company. And we're excited. You know, this is the new year, and it's never too late to change, to fix yourself, to do better, right? And take care of yourself. So, welcome back here to the show. For those that may not know anything about you, Anthony, give us a little overview, please.
Hi, Joe. It's great to be back. It's good to see you. Thank you. And you're right. I work with others, helping them to get to know themselves, get to maybe experience life from the perspective of what are we doing? Why are we here? You know, what do we get up for in the morning? And who are we really doing it for? So today's show, I'd like to discuss a little more about, you know, why do we get up in the morning? Who are we doing it for? Do we put ourselves first? And, you know, try and kick off the new year maybe with a fresh perspective on, you know, why it is we do get up in the morning. Are we just getting up for our kids, or are we just getting up, or are we getting up for ourselves as well? Are we putting ourselves first, or are we draining ourselves? And all these topics come up because it's all about our health and wellness and how it affects our bodies and how it affects the world around us. Are we living basically managing our reflection? So are we just trying to manage what the universe is reflecting back to us? Or are we actually in charge of our day and our lives as we move forward?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you can relate to this too, with having such a busy, busy schedule, busy life, right? There's other people involved. How does it work out for you as the day goes by, right? How do you manage, you know, all of a sudden maybe Zoom isn't working right, okay? Or, you know, your
It starts off
child
with the
calls and
kids
says,
not
"Oh, by the
wanting.
way, Dad, I got to do this real quick, like last minute," right?
Yeah. No, it starts off usually with the kids
Not
not
wanting,
wanting to wake up,
yeah.
then not wanting to eat breakfast, then the fight of the morning, then it's the scramble of me going to work. Then, oh yeah, what if you get a call from the school and you got to miss work and this is wrong, or someone forgot a library book and I got to run it down there. Oh wait, and then I'm trying to juggle what's happening after school because not only the homework, then the tutor or the basketball, or is it going to be there's religion class. There's a lot of moving parts, and I feel like there's never enough time for me. And I've struggled with time management. I struggle with keeping my home organized. You know, now the holiday decorations are everywhere, and I just feel like everything in the house is a mess, which mentally puts me out of whack. Yeah, and I just keep saying, I just need time. I just need time. I
Absolutely.
just need my kids away, but no one's going to take them from me. So I have to learn somehow to figure this out. And in years, I have not been able to. Yeah.
Well, it's hard. It's tough. And then you have to ask ourselves too, how much can we really do? You know, I noticed that even my own kids, they need a little bit of downtime. You know, all the go, go, go can become very overwhelming. And like you said, we're at the point now where, yeah, the Christmas tree has to come down. The decorations need to go away. The house is kind of, you know, not looking as neat as it usually is. Um, my daughter just started driving to school. And when I went to high school, you know, there was a parking lot, a student parking lot. Today, I had to fill out like 8 pages, pay for a permit, get approval from like 2 different places, and it takes about a week. And I was like, I've worked for Homeland Security in the past. I didn't have to fill out this much paperwork. This is just like a parking spot for my daughter in high school. So, like, is the world really getting a little bit too I don't know, some of it's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. I mean, what are we really putting up with? And so how can we scale things back a little bit? Do we have to do all those things? I mean, some of it's necessary, but I can only imagine having all those, you know, activities and all that other stuff, right? It's like, how much can the kids handle? Every child is different, so it's different for everybody. But with all that being said, I didn't mention myself in any of it, right? So when are we taking the time for ourselves? When are we going to let our bodies
Yeah.
just relax? Because healing can happen automatically if we just learn to relax. And what we try to do is buy that time back by, maybe doing special things for ourselves along the way. But even then, we're worried, like if we take a small retreat, we're always thinking about work. Are we really taking the time? Are we allowing our minds to quiet and really step into that sacred space within ourselves? And what I'd like to do is have others learn to live from that space all the time. Because even at work where I'm at today, I'm on a construction site. There was like 5 surprise deliveries this morning. I was like, well, we
Ah,
got to do this show today. We're gonna figure it all out.
yeah.
And I just said, you know what? Why am I letting the whole rush of the world
Ah,
around me affect me? So I just said, you know what? They can wait. That person can wait, and we can call them in when there's time. You know, we have to manage our outer world by really showing it what we are going to allow. So if we just let everything kind of inundate us, it doesn't really allow ourselves to do it in a manner that's productive for us sometimes. And then we end up having to do a little bit of extra cleanup work, or mistakes can get made, or we have to handle things twice. So really managing the outer world teaches us
mm-hmm.
how to manage ourselves too. It's kind of the same thing. It's just coming from 2 different directions. So, how much do we respect others? Are we allowing or respecting ourselves in the same way? And so how much are we allowing, depending on what we allow into our life, it causes stress. And that stress, like I had mentioned in previous shows, that stress causes resistance. As energy moves through our body, that resistance causes heat. And just like in an electrical system, that heat can cause damage. And it happens so slow that we don't see it. But, it catches up to us, and unfortunately ends up as disease or aging. And, in the past, I had my own construction company. I was working like 120 hours a week. There was no mistake that I got high
Yeah.
blood pressure at 19
Oh,
and ended up almost in a
oh,
wheelchair at 33. So, I mean, I was literally pushing myself into the ground. And it's, everyone says, yeah, but we have to live,
yeah,
right?
of
We got to pay our
course.
bills. We have to do this. Yes, but do we have to allow the pressure to exist within us, like the tension in our bodies? Do we have to live from that state, or can we still get it done, but do it by just holding ourselves, like taking a step back, maybe being a little bit more of an observer of it and calling out the decisions that we need to make? Or maybe we have to learn to say no too. Um, you know, but my daughter, she's 18, and there's always things that pop up, and every once in a while you just have to say no, we can't do that today. It's just going to be too much. I mean, how much do we let kids fail? Kids, really, failure has been a wonderful teacher for me in life. And sometimes a little bit of failure or rejection is good, because once they get out into the world, they're not going to know what to do when all of a sudden they have an employer and they're like, well, this isn't good enough, or, we're going to need to do better. The truth is, not everybody wins in a sense, but, it's good to see both sides so we can create value. If everybody's a winner, we don't always get to know what what value is. We don't
Yeah.
always get to know the importance of the hard work that goes into something, because it's kind of always given to us or handed to us, or our
Yeah.
kids. And when we learn to find that value, that comes back to us. And that value, to me, isn't really just money in life as it comes in, because as you understand your own value, that starts to create more wealth for you as well. But that value also has, like, so many other aspects. It affects our health, it affects everything in our lives. And we start to see a different kind of reflection come back around to us as we move through the day, because we just don't get inundated. Once you spell out to the universe, I'm not going to accept something anymore, you generally don't have to see it anymore. All of a sudden you get to see your outer world start to shift and change. And it's interesting to see it happen.
Yeah.
And so that's part of what I like to do, is really get to know people, get to know my clients, talk to them about their everyday, because that's how we live, right? You know,
Yeah.
it's not like, okay, we're going to go do this and everything's going to be fixed. No, we're going to teach one another, because I'm still learning every day myself, right?
Yeah.
How to, you know, more about ourselves, how to live our lives, and just offer a different perspective on how to manage those stresses. I mean, most people don't even realize they're stressed, you know, but, you know, as being empathic, I can feel the tension sometimes in people's bodies. And I'm like, you know, when's the last time you took a deep breath? Um, you know, did you inhale to the point where your stomach came out a little bit? Are you breathing like really shallow, you know, just into your lungs, the top half of your lungs, or are you
Yeah.
actually belly breathing, right?
Shallow,
And then, so,
guilty.
yeah, well, me too. And that's when I started to learn how to do breath work. And so really what I do offer too, you know, the stress management are more about the everyday and the little things. But then, you know, when I teach breath work, that really helps to get people to breathe deeper and then move the energy in their body to help, you know, let's just say our bodies are a reflection of our cars. And then the next step out from that are, you know, our homes. And so just like we have vehicle maintenance, just like we have, you know, our homes are nice and neat and tidy, right? Sometimes not everything is where it's supposed to be. Not everything is neat and clean. There's not always so much space. But to me, that just shows me that within me, I need to meditate more. Within me, I need to clear some of that, maybe trauma or emotional debris, or maybe just some of the daily stuff that we need to release. You know, it's really just tension. And so I also teach how to help others see what's going on within themselves. It's not like we can look inside our bodies, but if you want to see what's going on, all you got to do is look around you. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. But when I was hiring employees, when I had my own construction company, I used to look in their car. And if their
Yeah.
car was full of garbage or trash, I was
Oh
like, sorry,
gosh. You
you
just
know,
kind of know.
no,
Yeah.
you know, it was nice to meet you, but I don't think you're a right fit for the job, because that reflection comes back, not just, you know, into my own equipment, but my business as well. So that just goes back to, what do we allow, and what is good spiritual nutrition? You know, what is health? And that kind of takes it to a much broader perspective. You know, my dad had 17 stents put in his heart. I didn't even think it was possible, but it was easy for me to see, because when you went into his basement, he had so much stuff, and he was like, I can't throw this stuff away. And I was like, are you really sure you need all that? And but that was his journey, you know. So I mean, so people are like, come on, it's just a little bit of stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, the world around ourselves. And if my father had cleaned out the basement, was able to let go of all that stuff, he may have not needed all those stents. And you know, it's interesting to see how that stuff really affects us. What is the world really showing us? And you know, as we continue to, you know, chip away at little things here and there, we get better and better at it, and we get much better recognizing what's going on, which is really kind of cool. And then after a while, it starts to become a little bit fun, especially when you start to realize that a choice that you made for yourself is having a really good positive effect on how you're seeing the world, or how the world's being reflected back to you as well. Because some of my doctors, sometimes they would say, I can't believe how, like, your blood work is great. It doesn't make any sense to me. And that's good. Let's just go with that. I mean, the proof's in the blood work, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, and that was because of all the things I had been going through at the time. They weren't understanding why things were going away. They didn't understand how it was all happening.
Yeah.
And, you know, with some of the illness, like cures for it in a sense. There was ways to manage it. And unfortunately, that just, dis-ease in the body eventually turns into something that you may need modern medicine to fight, which is also, I mean, a good thing, and I'm glad that we have them as well. But my approach is to help people avoid getting to that point, and really teaching them what to look out for. I mean, I think we all kind of know. We just don't always pay attention to what's going on sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't tell you how many times my intuition has guided me, and I was like, nah, there's no way. And then it would happen, and I was like, well, I guess I knew, right? So sometimes we have to ask ourselves, why do we not listen to ourselves? And that comes back to the value that we hold for ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you can even, share a couple experiences in your own life, right? It's like, even if it's only 15 minutes in silence, Jill, like how many times, or when's the last time you just spent 15 minutes in silence?
Oh my gosh. I
Um,
don't even know if that was even possible.
and that's,
Really, I don't even understand if that was
I
even,
mean,
yeah. Wow. I
yeah,
don't
I
think.
used to teach my kids when they were much younger. Yeah, Daddy's gonna go meditate. Like, okay, Dad, no problem. And then, they'd be banging on the door. But what I found, which is really interesting, is during one of my meditations, my kids were fighting and they were banging on the door. And I was like, I'm not answering it. And I went like inside and I worked out like why it was irritating me so much and why it was actually bothering me. And as soon as I understood why what they were doing was bothering me, they stopped like cold turkey, like instantly. So it showed me that my inner world was literally being reflected back to me. Because when we don't have a trigger, like, for us to be bothered by, my kids could scream all day long. And I mean, I really, I wouldn't care. I would know that they were screaming. I would know that they were maybe a little bit rowdy, but it wouldn't bother me at all. I would just see it for what it is, and it would be okay in a sense. But when it has an effect on you,
Yeah.
to a little bit, you have to take a step back and say, well, how is this actually connecting to me? How is this really, what's causing it to bother me? So those little things, and people be like, well, I mean, they're kids, they're bothering you, they're making noise, it makes sense, but not really. I mean, there's plenty of things that we have happen during the day that we're like, oh well, no big deal. Why aren't we like that with everything? We are internally pure joy. Are we feeling that all the time? Heck no. Do I like to maintain that as much as possible? Absolutely. And we can't grow without all those feelings and all those emotions, and we get to know ourselves in a much deeper way. And that's also what this is really about. I'm working on a book right now, and it's called Remember Me. And it's about people remembering themselves and who they are and where they've come from. I think we talked on the last show maybe about, are we doing things that we even like, right? Do people really know who they are? And so all of this is really, it's part of life. And it's not something that we're taught. It's not something that
Yeah.
we're taught in school. It's not something that my parents taught me. And, I think if we can just become a little bit better each day than we were the day before, that's really the goal. I mean, there's no rush. There's really no, like, you're not going to be late for anything.
Yeah.
If people really knew that, felt it, there wouldn't be so much pressure, right?
So very true.
What are some of the things, like, do we teach our kids how to take some alone time to
That's
manage their
so
stress?
funny
Okay.
you said that. I just gotta bring this up. My sister sent me a link on something on Facebook today about, it was a picture of all children napping in kindergarten back in like the 50s, 60s, 70s. And then all of a sudden we
Mhm.
slowly taught our children that rest is not okay. Like it used to be a daily part of them going to school. And now, like my sister is an 8 in kindergarten and it's go, 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 go. How much could you cram into the day? How much? The kids don't know how to rest. The kids don't know how to relax. And I think that's what's causing a lot of their anxiety and stress. We're taught that you got to go, go, go. And it's not okay to just relax and breathe. I got goosebumps thinking about this because she sent this to me this morning and I read
Yep.
it and I was like, wow, this is my family. This is why my son has such anxiety. We're trying to do multiplication last night for homework and he's stressing and he's just so, and it's just, and then if not, it's the video games. They want to be on the video games all the time. What about just sitting still, having dinner, no TV, no phone, just relaxing? We don't know. We're not teaching our children how to do that anymore.
Jill,
Ah,
I completely agree. And then, I mean, you said the word math. The way they teach math today, I mean, my as a child, I learned differently. I just learned differently. And I have my own way of doing math. But even for kids, it's like, are they even teaching children in a way like based on how maybe that particular child learns? I know with my own kids, when it came to math, not for my oldest son, because he's like a math whiz, but
yeah.
for my other two, they learned a lot like me. So I had to teach them how I did the math. And they were like, "Oh, that's so easy." And I'm like, "I don't know why they teach you this in school. It may work for other kids, but it didn't work for me. And I'm not surprised it's not working for you." And you're right. Are we teaching them to relax? So what are your kids really doing? Right? They're in hurry up, go, 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 fight or flight mode. And you get into this like emergency state where you get used to living. Your nervous system gets used to being in a state like that. And it's really unhealthy because, as I'd mentioned earlier, if we can learn to just rest, you said no screen time, no noise. How about sitting at a table and having a nice conversation about one another's day? Or, hey, do you want to just go to a park and just watch nature, right? Um, Most people would probably say, well, I don't have time for that because there's just so much going on. And I've noticed that distraction has probably been one of the greatest downfalls to cause myself to get ill. All the distraction is keeping us from ourselves. So as parents and even, for ourselves, how are we managing all the information that's coming to us? Do we really need to know all that? Is that really important? Do we have to have all this stuff? I can tell you when I had my near death experience, the last thing I cared about was how much stuff I had. I just wanted to hang out with, all the people that I loved. And I didn't really care too much to hang out with anybody that I didn't like or wasn't nice to me or anything like that. And, it's funny, but it's not to say that we need to, if somebody comes across to you as being mean, there's really nothing we have to do about it. I noticed if we just sit in silence after somebody says something that might be a little bit off, that silence is enough to stop. So I've even learned, what are we responding to and how are we responding to it?
Ah,
I've noticed that no response just lets that energy know that we're not going to engage. And when you do it enough times, it just kind of walks away and doesn't come back. It's really funny how all of a sudden, when you do have a shift within yourself, all of a sudden people kind of just drop. Sometimes we wish, okay, maybe, we didn't think it might be that particular person, but we have to just have faith and keep moving forward and know that, as we make changes, the world's going to change. Life's going to change. And as we get to know ourselves completely, we end up attracting somebody who is like us. So there's not as much contrast. There's no contrast that goes beyond like the core values that we hold within ourselves don't end up, coming head to head with the core values that maybe somebody else has. There's a little bit of contrast as you get to, grow together, but we don't get to see all that real big interference in life. It becomes a little easier to go your day that way. And you really start to generate peace by choosing it each and every day. So how can we live in a state of peace? I mean, all these things are
It's
so
so hard. I know.
important, but who is teaching it, right? It's hard. So, um, I did teach my children to meditate when they were younger and to have some time alone. And even my daughter said to me last night, okay, I got it. Everything's good. I'm just going to go spend some time alone right now. I just need to sit in some quiet. And I was like, okay, great. But if you say that to most people, I'm going to sit in quiet. Well, I mean, I remember when I first started, first thing you want to do is get up and do something, or your mind starts to have these conversations. And I'm like, no, we're not going there. We're not doing it. We're not going to question ourselves. We're not going to worry about something. We're going to try and sit still. And so I remember for almost about a year, I literally, when I had lost everything and I was like homeless, like light. Okay. I mean, I still had family where I could live, but I had lost my home, my business, my marriage, everything within like a year and a half, a while back. And I was living in a closet at my parents' house. I gave my kids the rooms and I said, I'm going to stay in that closet. No windows, no heat. There was a light in there, but I was in the dark, and I would just sit in there and work through all of my stuff. And I heard somebody was teaching me meditation at one time. They said, oh, if you don't feel good, go sit in the closet or go sit in the dark. Don't come out until you're happy. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
But if we could literally learn to do that on a daily basis, just for 5 or 10 minutes, we won't have to do it for an hour or, a couple months every day. It becomes just regular maintenance for ourselves. And it allows us, for the energy of the world around us and inside of us to kind of just flow. And then we don't have all the disturbance, and then we don't have all the disease, and life gets to be more fun. Even the fun things today are rushed and they're not really experienced.
Beautifully said. I know.
Okay, we won the game, right? Great. Now let's go get ice cream. Okay, great. Now let's go home. It's like, so it's tough. But as we learn to take care of ourselves and care for our bodies more and get to know who we are more, everything kind of just falls into place. It's really funny how it works.
Well, thank you so much, Anthony. We unfortunately, go ahead.
True meaning. The true meaning of the things that we do. Sorry. Yeah. You really start to feel the value and the connection, and being able to spend time with your children isn't just being there, it's actually spending time, which is really important, because once we can teach them that, then that's something that they've learned, and then they take that and grow on with that as well. So this isn't just about us. It's about being a better us for the future, for our children, and helping them to grow. And my kids have been through a lot, but I know they're going to be better for it as they get older. They won't have to go through it all like I did as an adult, Tough to see them do it as kids, but it's necessary part of life. So that's what I really like to do and help people with as well.
Thank you so much. In my life, so. All right. Well, tell us how we can contact you, Anthony.
So the best way to contact me is through my website. And that's www.synchronicityhealthandwellness.com. You can find the link on me by telephone, text message, please, at first. We can talk that way. I give out my cell phone number just to help people reach out to me if they don't have access to computers or something. That number, 908-963-7317. It also helps to make it a little more personal, I believe. Connection is so important. And I think sometimes we just live our lives. We're not actually connecting to it. So, Jill, thank you again so much. It was great to see you.
Thank you so much. And looking forward to the next time. Thank you. And Happy New Year to you, to your family. And we shall connect again. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for always inspiring us. Okay.
Thank you so much. You too. Take care.
Thank you. Well, till we meet again. Bye-bye, everyone. Enjoy the day.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.